So Venkat, see, I started with one dynamic web project with 2.5, and then after doing Maven and copy and all those things, it became 3.1. The facet I saw 3.1. Can it happen?
Um, I can't answer that. The reason being, I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
okay, good evening, everybody. So, we talked about Spring and we integrated Spring nicely with our eShop application. And sometime back, we talked about MVC, right? MVC is a pattern or an architectural style. It's more of a pattern, actually, where request is actually taken by the controller, and the controller goes to back and gets the model, gives that model to the view, and view renders the page, and it gives the dynamic HTML, and controller flush it back to the browser. It's a MVC, right? So we have been using MVC all along ourselves, meaning we've been using MVC, or we've been following MVC. We are writing the controllers, we are writing the views, everything we've been doing it. There is another pattern called front controller pattern. So there is another pattern called front controller pattern. I briefly talked about it before. In the front controller pattern, your MVC is taken to the next level. When a request comes from the browser, your controller has to take the request. But here, front controller. So if you look at our examples, we have coded a lot of servlets. So we wanted to have, so initially we thought servlets are great, and then we thought that JSPs can replace the servlets. And then later quickly realized that, hey, JSPs have too many doors. So let's close the doors, and then let's have our servlets take the request. And then let's have our servlets talk to the backend and get the model, and servlet will give that model to our JSP, which is our view, which is going to render the page. So by having a lot of controllers, by having a lot of servlets, again, we are opening up a lot of doors as well. Before it actually hits the controller, if I want to intercept the request and do something about it, right? We need a single door. Also, we need a single door. So there is a pattern called front controller pattern. Front controller pattern, what it does is it's an extension to your MVC. The only point that it adds is that your controller, there will be only one controller. There won't be several controllers like how we have today. We have several servlets that are configured in web.xml that act as controllers. But in front controller pattern, there will be only one controller. So you'll have more control over all the requests coming from the browser, because there will be only one request, only one door to your whole application, which is going to take the request coming from the browser. Internally, But all these while we're talking about, login will have a login controller or login servlet. Your shopping cart will have a shopping cart servlet, right? These are all controllers. And your checkout will have a checkout controller or checkout servlet. But how does this single controller knows about it? Well, this single controller is going to take the request coming from the browser, and then it will look at what it is trying to do, what browser is asking for. Hey, do you want to go to login? If so, internally it will send it to the login component. Internally, if you want to go to shopping cart, it will send you to the shopping cart component. If you want to go to checkout, it will send you to the checkout component. But there is only one gate. Every request, all the requests coming from the browser should go through one door for the entire app. That is called front controller. Internally, it can delegate to lot of these the mini controllers. Lot of these mini controllers, but request coming from the browser will only be taken by a single controller, which delegates based on your intention to appropriate web controllers. These are called web controllers. These are called web controllers. This is called front controller. The front controller can take the request coming from the browser. That is how we're going to configure it. And then it is going to delegate to appropriate web controller. Well, these controllers are not servlets. The interesting part is only the front controller is a servlet. This one is a servlet. This one is a servlet. These front controllers can be anything. Okay? I'll talk about it. These are simple Java-based components. Let's say these are simple Java-based controllers, which are going to talk to your service layer. And this service layer will talk to DAO, which internally talks to the database. So the important point we need to understand here is the front controller. So we are not going to have hundreds of controllers. So to implement MVC better, okay, there are some frameworks. Framework is nothing but set of tools, set of utilities to make your life easy in implementing something. So there are some frameworks out there that can make your life easy while implementing MVC pattern. The most popular frameworks ever in the web side or MVC side is called, especially Java framework, is called struts. Struts is or has been the most popular web application framework that will help you implement MVC. This came into picture back in 2001, 2000-ish, late 2000s, early 2001 area. Okay, it's an Apache product. We know Apache. Apache is an open source company. People like us contribute to all the projects coming from Apache. So one guy mainly wrote this, the initial struts, and then struts web application framework, and later has been contributed by a lot of developers and improved it. So it's been used as the de facto framework for close to a decade. It was that popular. But obviously, it was written back then. There is no good Spring support because Spring came into picture later. Struts was there before Spring. Okay, so Spring came into picture later, and Spring's goal is to never reinvent the wheel. It's always, if there are any popular frameworks, it will just provide the plugin. It provided the plugin for struts too. But later, the struts main concept is this one. The main concept is it makes your life easy to implement the MVC pattern. And especially it provides you this front controller already. So this front controller will be provided to you. And then you just write these what do you call these adapters. Okay, you just write these adapters like controllers. Those are called action classes. You just write them and you plug them in. You configure them somewhere in an XML file. So I'm talking about history here. So it was good. It was good for close to a decade, and then um, it's Spring. I mean, Spring came into picture a couple of years after Struts, and then um, Spring and Struts have been integrated for a long time, and then Spring realized that, hey, I know my intention is not to reinvent the wheel while Struts is there, but Struts really is more complicated than it needs to be. It's more of a configuration. So there is a software development paradigm came into picture at the time, saying that convention over configuration. Maven came with the same concept. Convention over configuration, because we are so sick of this XML, big, lengthy XMLs, right? So now, at that time, Spring has introduced another web application framework. It's called Spring MVC. It's called Spring MVC, which can replace struts very happily. And then Spring MVC has become very, very popular for the last few years. And then actually struts actually learned back from Spring, and then the initial struts is not being developed anymore. So it stopped working on struts, and then they introduced something called struts 2 on the same principles as Spring MVC, but it's too late in the game. So adoption has been more for Spring MVC. So a lot of companies have started using Spring MVC. A lot of companies have started adopting Spring MVC. So at the heart of Spring MVC, you will see this front controller pattern. And that front controller is already being provided by Spring MVC. You don't have to write one. It's already provided. I mean, it's already provided by struts also. Back then, it's called Action Servlet, which you don't have to know for now. But Spring MVC is already providing the front controller. So what it says is that, hey, I will make your life easy to implement MVC. We all agree that MVC is a great pattern. Agree. But you don't have to write these controllers. You don't have to, especially we agree with all of you that the front controller is also a great pattern. Every single request coming from the browser should be taken by a single controller, so that we'll have better control, and then have that delegate to the appropriate adapters or web controllers, whatever they are called. You don't have to reinvent it. I will provide that for you, is what Spring MVC's goal mainly. So what Spring MVC does is, the beauty is that since it's actually written by the Spring people, Spring is baked into Spring MVC. It's actually built on the same principles. You have the dependency injection everywhere. So if you looked at it, we have the dependency injection until service layer. In the servlets, so far, we have seen in the servlets what we were doing was, if you look at it, so here we are doing the application context, new class path XML application context and .get bean. One, I don't want to do this one every single time. It can be done only once at the time of the deployment. And number two, I don't even want to do this one. How about these become Spring managed beans? Well, these are not Spring managed beans. The problem with servlet is that servlets can't be Spring managed beans. The simple reason is that servlet's life cycle is managed by servlet container, whereas the Spring managed beans life cycle is maintained by Spring, right? So servlets cannot be used as a Spring managed beans. So what Spring MVC said is that, hey, I will implement the front controller for you. What it means is that every single request coming from the browser will be taken by my servlet. I will provide a servlet to you. You just configure it. Okay? Every single request coming from the browser will be taken by this front controller. And this front controller is called dispatcher servlet. It's called dispatcher servlet. As the name says, it just dispatches it. It takes the request coming from every single browser. This acts as front controller. This acts as front controller. So dispatcher servlet takes the request. In fact, all the requests coming from the browser. So there will be only one controller for your MVC pattern. Every single request will be taken by this one. Now, as I said before, based on the request or based on the intention of the user, if you want to go to login, I need to delegate to somebody. And those are called web controllers. So here you will have a lot of web controllers, like a login controller. Okay. And then checkout controller, or shopping cart controller, a security controller, or sign up controller. Let's say sign up controller. So these do various functionalities based on the request. So if you want to go to /login, then dispatcher servlet will dispatch it to the login controller. But how many controllers do we have here? Only one controller, that is called dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet always takes the request coming from any of these browsers and then delegates to the appropriate web controllers. These are simple Java-based components, and the beauty is that these are Spring managed beans. These are Spring managed beans. What is the beauty of the Spring managed beans? Well, if all of these are Spring managed beans, what is the advantage if they are Spring managed beans? Dependency injection. So your login controller depends on login servlet. login service. I'll take back. Sorry. So this login controller depends on login service. Login service depends on login repository or login DAO. And it goes back to the database. Your checkout controller depends on checkout service. Your checkout service depends on checkout DAO. It goes to database. Again, sign up controller depends on sign up service. Sign up service depends on sign up DAO. Sign up DAO depends on, it's database, right? So this DAO will be injected into service, and this service will be injected into login controller. So your login controller, since it is a Spring managed bean, unlike your servlet, you do not have to ask Spring, or you do not have to bootstrap and ask Spring to get it. You do not have to ask anymore. You don't have to write this ugly code anymore. It's not really ugly, but it's you're really bootstrapping the Spring and getting the beans. There are ways to bootstrap this only once. That's not the problem. But these are servlets, right? So servlets can be Spring managed because their lifecycle is maintained by the servlet engine, which is Tomcat. These web controllers are Spring managed beans. And the beauty is that they are simple Java-based components. Because of that simple concept, these controllers are more testable. So if you want to test these servlets, you need who provides this HTTP servlet, who provides this HTTP servlet request, HTTP servlet response, etc. Servlet container. So you need servlet container, or you can do some mocking. Okay, but here you can definitely get HTTP servlet request if you want to. Spring will automatically provide you. You can definitely get HTTP servlet response if you want it. Spring will provide you that. Spring will provide you HTTP session if you need it, but most of the times you do not need it. You can write them without depending on these server resources so that your code is more testable. Whenever you write more testable code, that's a good design. So now, let me step back. My point is, request coming from the browser will be taken by the dispatcher servlet, and dispatcher servlet dispatches to the appropriate web controller. And you know how it finds out, or let me take back. We talked about these Spring stereotyped annotations. Remember, all of you? What are those stereotyped annotations? Can one of you tell me? At component, at service,
at repository,
at repository, and what's the last one?
At controller.
You got it.
At controller.
At controller. That at controller is same as this one. So all of these Java classes, all of these web controllers are annotated with this at controller, saying that, hey, I'm the controller. But Spring doesn't care which annotation you use it. They're all Spring managed beans. Okay? But this controller is provided for these ones. So your dispatcher servlet takes the request and delegates it, or dispatches your request to the appropriate web controller. And that web controller goes to the service goes to DAO, and gets the data back to service, and service gives the data back to web controller. Now that web controller gives the data back to dispatcher servlet. This is where model is given to your dispatcher servlet. Now, once the model is retrieved from one of these web controllers, what does dispatcher servlet do? Or any controller. This is a controller. We need to understand this is the main controller. This is the front controller. This is the main controller in MVC. Right? So what does it do now? Once it gets the model, it gives it to view.
View.
And who acts as view, by the way? Who acts as view? Who acts as view?
You mean the browser or something like that?
Who acts as view in
Okay.
our MVC?
Your JSP.
Exactly. Your JSP acts as view. So your JSP will be called, your view will be called by the dispatcher servlet, and dispatcher servlet says that, hey, it's exactly like MVC. So it says that, hey view, I'm giving you a model. Can you please render this? Can you give me the dynamic HTML? And then view's responsibility is to give the dynamic HTML. And now the dynamic HTML will be flushed back to the browser. So this is controller, right? It dispatches to the appropriate web controller. This web controller acts as a bridge. This web controller acts as an adapter between this backend and then dispatcher servlet. So this web controller is what calls these backend systems like service, your service classes. Once it gets the model, this model will be taken by the dispatcher servlet again. And dispatcher servlet again dispatches to the view and saying that, hey view, can you please render this one for me? Yes, view renders it, and then it flushes back to the browser. So it's exact same MVC. But what's the beauty here? The beauty is that this front controller, we don't have to write. We just need to write these Java-based components called web controllers. We just need to write them. We already have all of these solid services, right? We just need to write these controllers, and the beauty is that controllers are already Spring managed. We just need to tell how the dispatcher servlet is going to dispatch to. Somewhere we have to say that /login goes to login controller, /checkout goes to checkout controller. All these while, since we have been having several controllers, and all the controllers are configured in web.xml because servlet acts as controller, right? All these while. So we did configure all these servlets in web.xml to take the appropriate requests coming from the browser. Now I'm saying that servlets are not the controllers. We are going to write these Java-based components, which will be called by the dispatcher servlet. But somehow we have to say that, hey, /login is taken by this guy. /checkout will be taken by the checkout controller. /signup is taken by this particular signup controller. Somehow we say that. How we say that? We'll talk about it. Now, it goes to this controller, this web controller, which is a Spring Manager bean. It talks to service, gets the data, and somehow it tells dispatcher servlet, hey, I'm done. I got the data, and here is the data. And here is the data. And by the way, here is the view that I want you to send it to. This guy will say that, hey, here is the view that I want you to send it to. Here is another interesting part. All this while, your controller, you are writing this one. Request dispatcher rd equal to request dot get request dispatcher rd dot forward. Look at it. So your controller knows about the fact that view is a JSP page. What happens if the view is changed? There are various view technologies. One of them is JSP. There are other templates like a free marker template or velocity templates. There are other templating techniques that you can use. So if you change order confirmation dot free marker template, then you will come and change this one. Right? Your controller knows too much about it. But here in this case, your login controller or any of these web controllers are going to tell dispatcher servlet that, hey, I don't know who the real view is, but I can tell you, I can give you the logical view name. We never talk in terms of the physical JSP pages. We never talk in terms of the physical JSP pages. It says that, hey, this is my logical view name. That view will somehow, that logical view name will be resolved. That logical view name is going to be resolved to a physical JSP path, but it does not have to be a JSP. It can be your free marker template. It can be your velocity templates. Okay, any of the view technologies that it can support. All login controller knows is that, hey, here is the logical view that I know. I'll just say that, please take me to login. That's all I say that. I don't know whether it's a login.jsp and I don't know where is the location of the JSP2. All of that is going to be handled by a different component. Dispatcher servlet calls that component. That component is called view resolver component. There is a component called view resolver component. What is a view resolver? Did you all understand that your web controller does not know the physical location of your view? It does not know the physical path of the view, which is your JSP. It doesn't know. It only talks in terms of the logical view name. It just says that login. Your web
Can
controller.
you show that other picture for a second?
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. Huh?
Sure.
So your web controller knows only the logical view name, which is, let's say, login. There is some other component called view resolver. What it does is it will have kind of mapping. Hey, for this physical path, the map, for this logical name, the real physical path is, let's say, /webinf /views, okay, or /JSPs. You know, this is where we have been putting, right? /webinf /JSPs, and here you can say login.jsp. So this is how it works. Your dispatcher servlet is going to ask the view resolver, hey, I have a logical view called login. Can you give me the real physical path of the JSP? And it just gives it. Somewhere it is going to maintain this configuration. Okay. So what are we gaining here? Well, what we are gaining is that more separation, more separation, meaning when you change your view technology, okay, your web controller has no clue about what view technology that you're using it. You can change them and people can work on these components independently without having to know what the other person is doing. All my responsibility is that I have to talk to the service guy and get the data somehow, and I will give that data to dispatcher servlet, and I'll also say a logical name. Hey, can you please forward to this logical view name called login? And dispatcher servlet is going to do the magic. Okay, now let me take the questions. Okay, and I'm going to probably I'm not shooting anything more than the real concept of this one. I'm going to show you with an example, one very simple example, and then I'm going to come back every component. I'm going to explain it, and finally I'll show you. I will revisit the total architecture with a simple diagram. Okay, but let me take some questions. Yes, Sean, go ahead.
No, I don't have any question. I only had this screen. I photocopied it.
Oh,
That's it.
okay, yeah. Madhavi, you have a question?
Yeah, this one, physical location of JSP means what is the meaning of this one?
Okay, I'll tell you. See here, where is my order confirmation.jsp? Where is the location of order confirmation.jsp? What is the location of order confirmation.jsp?
Web INF and
Exactly.
JSP.
Stored in /webinf/JSP, and this is the JSP. This is the physical path of the JSP, right?
Yeah.
My point is that if I change the order confirmation.jsp from here to some other page, if I change all the JSPs from here to WebINF Venkat, okay, every single controller now needs to be changed. Are you getting it? So rather,
Yes.
all I'm going to do is that I'm going to do this one. Okay, because I'm not going to call any of these low-level API. I'm going to tell my dispatch servlet that, hey, can you please forward to my order confirmation? That's all. I don't know that it's a JSP. I don't know the location of it. I'm just giving you a logical name. Your dispatch servlet is going to contact the view resolver and says that, hey, I got this one. Can you tell me the full path of the page, full path of the view? Is that clear now? And some component,
Yeah.
So,
So where can
that some component is called view resolver. Okay, that view resolver is going to maintain this one somehow. Okay, we don't care. Order confirmation equal to /webinf.
okay.
Okay, /JSP /order confirmation.jsp. So it's going to maintain this map somewhere. Okay, it's going to maintain this guy somewhere, and then as soon as you ask for this one, it gives you this path. How about that?
That's pretty
And
cool.
this is going to be configured somewhere, and I do not have to worry about it. My web controller does not worry about it. When you change from, this location is changed, only my dispatcher servlet is going to worry about it. That's all. I have no clue any of it. So we are introducing one more layer of indirection in between here for better maintenance.
So your view resolver is something something like an enhanced web.xml. Web.xml
That
plus a lot of other things, plus more
that
mappings,
view
right?
resolver technique, okay, that's a good point. That view resolver, several people in the past, Struts has done one way. The way Struts has done it is for every single logical name, you need to provide the physical path for every single one of them. Okay? But Spring MVC has taken a very elegant approach. What is that approach? I'm going to show you in a few minutes. Let's look at it, the real example, and then I can show you better. Is that okay? What actually maybe I'll show you. So what Spring MVC's view resolver technique is that it takes this is called, the one I highlighted is called prefix, and this is called suffix. You just give this name and you configure your prefix and suffix in one simple Spring config XML. That's it. For every single JSP, you are covered. What you mean by that? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the power of Spring MVC with an example, and then we'll talk. Okay? Any other questions before I show the real example?
This HTTP servlet, yeah, the HTTP servlet and all those things, the coding style will remain the same, right? The do, get, do, post, all those things will still remain the same. Right?
Nope, that's going to change too. Actually, see here, this is a servlet. Servlet has certain life cycle. Somebody is going to call the do get and somebody is going to call the do post. Who is going to call the do get and do post? Any of you?
The browser. From the browser, the request will come.
The form.
A form. Yeah, I mean, the request will come on.
Action form.
Sorry?
Yeah, the form. Yeah, I agree with her. The index.html or something like that.
Think and tell me.
The form action.
Who is going to call the do get method? Think and tell me.
Okay, do get is
I don't need fast
called
answer.
by the web.xml. From the web.xml, the mapping will
think and tell me.
Mapping will happen, right?
Think and tell me. Just think in yourself for a minute, everybody, so we can give chance to others also. So who will call this do get and do post? Yes.
Yeah, browser.
Nope. Madhavi is correct. Servlet container.
Okay.
How does browser call it? Who calls do get and do post? I've been saying that the servlets are server-side components, right? So servlets are going to live on the server side, not on the client side, right, Jyoti?
Yes.
And who instantiates the servlet? Who calls the do get and do post? When does servlet get instantiated? On the first request, right? And then when it gets get HTTP get request, it's going to call the do get method. When it gets HTTP post method, it's going to call the do post. You just write your code in do get and do post. It will be called automatically by your servlet container. Right? Now, my point here is that dispatcher servlet is the only servlet. Now tell me, are we going to have a do get and do post? And we are not going to write the dispatcher servlet. Let me say this again. We are not going to write the dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet is given to you by Spring MVC. You just borrow it. You just take it. You've been given. That's free. You're getting it for free by using Spring MVC. So, and I'm telling you that dispatcher servlet is the only servlet we have it. No more servlets. Login controller, checkout controller, sign up controllers, all these are Java components. So what does it mean? It's a very good question, Sean. What does it mean? Do get and do post, do we see them anywhere? Everyone, do get and do post. Do we ever write in using Spring MVC? We do not. You know why we don't write? Because anyone? Dispatcher servlet is the only
It's going
servlet
to
in
be
the
handled
entire
by
architecture.
Pasha.
Spring is doing that.
In the entire application, there is only one servlet called dispatcher servlet, and we are not writing the dispatcher servlet. And only if you are a servlet, you need to extend this HTTP servlet and implement the appropriate do get and do post, and then service method, etc. What we are going to write, all of these web controllers that are Java-based components, they are not servlets. Period. They will be called by the dispatcher servlet, and dispatcher servlet is free for you. You can just use it. Now, question for everybody. Okay, let's implement this Spring MVC together. Okay, everybody. I told you that dispatcher servlet is the only servlet in Spring MVC. Right? And I want to configure my dispatcher servlet as the front controller. Can anyone tell me what it means? I want to configure my dispatcher servlet as a front controller.
That means recipient of all the messages from the browser.
Recipient of all
So
the requests
From the
from
browser.
the browsers should be taken by the dispatcher servlet. Okay.
Correct.
Shawan, now you are done. Let's give now everyone else. Good answer, Shawan. Now, how do I configure that? And where
in
do I
web
configure
XML?
it? Excellent point.
It's just web.xml.
Excellent.
The way.
Excellent. Excellent. Web.xml. So how do I configure in web.xml? And I want
So the
Go ahead.
way that we configured in the web.xml is we have stated the servlets and their mappings.
excellent point. Okay. Excellent. Very good. Everybody, excellent. I did a couple of minutes of homework before the class to avoid some copy pasting. So I created a simple project called Spring MVC 1 Feb 2015. It's as is copy of your eShop 4. Not even one line of code I coded. Okay. I just copied as is and called it Spring MVC 1 Feb 2015. So now the first step I want to do is, because I didn't do anything, I just as is copied. Now let's go to POM XML. Let's look at the dependencies. We have OJDBC6, we have Spring Context. Okay, we need two dependencies. If you want to use Spring MVC, we need two dependencies. One of them is called Spring Web. Okay, you can use the same version. And the other one is called Spring Web MVC. You need both of them. I'll just save it, and then it will, see here, it's downloading from public Maven repository and then gathered bunch of dependencies. If you look at it, Spring Web 3.2.13 release. Okay. And now these are the two jar files and their dependent jar files. It automatically gets it. So in Spring Web MVC, org.springframework.web.servlet has a class called dispatcher servlet. This is the dispatcher servlet I'm talking about. So dispatcher servlet is free for you. This front controller is free for you. It has been given by having these two dependencies. You are getting everything that's required to implement Spring MVC. Okay? And now we have this dispatcher servlet also. We know org.springframework.web.servlet.dispatcher servlet. And I want to configure this as a front controller. And tell me one thing, does your servlet container care if you wrote the servlet or if you borrowed from Spring MVC? Does it care? As long as your servlet extends HTTP servlet and as long as your servlet implements do get and do post, it doesn't care. It just calls the do get and do post based on the request that's coming from the browser. But I want to configure my dispatcher servlet as the front controller, meaning every single request must be taken by the dispatcher servlet. How do I configure and where do I configure it? That's going to be configured in, as you guys said, web.xml.
Web.xml.
I'm going to take out all of these servlets because I just copied from the previous projects. So I don't need any of it, right? Let's do it. Now, servlet, right? So how many servlets are we going to have for the whole application? How many?
One.
What is that one?
Dispatcher server.
Dispatcher.
Excellent. Excellent, Madhavi and Jyoti. Okay. Now, tell me, this is how I'm going to configure, right? Okay. So my servlet name, I can give some servlet name. I'll just say eShop. Okay. I can use any servlet name, right? The same servlet name should be used here. Now, how do I configure? Okay. First of all, when I say eShop, what is my servlet class? What is my servlet class? I don't have auto completion here, right? Oh boy, I have to type all of this. org.springframework.webs.servlet.dispatcher-servlet. I believe I don't have any typos is what I'm...
Venkat, where are you getting this from?
I'm getting this from Spring MVC, Spring Web MVC jar file. Look at it here.
Okay. Oh,
because we depend on this one. If you want to use Spring MVC, you need this jar file. You need these two jar files actually, and their dependent jar files. Okay? And do I care about their dependent jar files? Nope. Maven automatically gets it. In fact, if you ask me, I don't even know what jar files that it depends on. I never had to care, and I'm not going to care. So,
yeah, but you are wanting to give the local directory name in your C drive, right? You are wanting to do that, right? Your goal is you want to give a local C drive name, right? The servlet class. Oh, it's the class name. Okay, I got it. Fine. No problem.
I'm not going to say anything. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I think you are.
That's fine. I was thinking.
I'm hoping nobody else has the same confusion. Okay. org.springframework.web.servlet.dispatcher-servlet, right? So you have the dispatcher servlet. This is my servlet class, and this is my servlet name. Okay, this is now. What exactly do I mean by front controller? Can anyone tell me? I want this servlet to take every single URL within my context. Just do a slash. Just by saying slash, you're saying thanks, Samantha. So just by saying slash, you're saying slash hello will be taken by this, slash shopping cart will be taken by this, slash login will be taken by this, slash checkout will be taken by this, slash sign up will be taken by this, slash ABC will be taken by this, slash DF. Any request after slash. This is a pattern, not just slash, right? Agree? Can you mute yourself? All of you, whoever is getting that noise. Thank you. Okay. So this is how we are configuring as front controller. This is what I mean by the dispatch servlet is front controller, or for that matter, if you say that, you know what, I don't want to borrow from Spring. Hey, I can definitely implement Spring like MVC framework. Absolutely, you can if you know the fundamentals, and these are the fundamentals. Go write your own servlet and just say slash, and then that's it. That will every single URL is going to be taken by this guy, whatever that servlet is. In this case, we are already getting it from Spring MVC and we are just borrowing it. Make sense? And what did we do so far? We configured dispatch servlet. In fact, we borrowed how? By putting into the Maven, right? We got this Spring related jar files, Spring MVC or Spring Web and MVC related jar files. And then we configured dispatch servlet to act as a front controller. That's all we did. And now, definitely Sean. Let me increase the font size. Where do you want me to increase? Is it XML that you want to take it, or?
Asking me?
Yes.
In general, actually, I couldn't see, for instance, that servlet class, all those things very clearly, and on the left side also, mainly on the left side.
Yeah, that one I need to change my whole resolution. I think otherwise you don't get it.
Okay,
I'll
now
let it
it's
go.
clearer.
You have in the GoToMeeting, you can zoom yourself. Please do that.
Okay. Go to meeting. Okay, I'll do that.
And the left for the left side stuff. Because if I change the resolution, then video will get disrupted.
Okay.
My right recording will go mad. Okay, we got the dispatcher servlet and we configured it to be a front controller, right? Now, I was saying earlier that this dispatcher servlet is going to dispatch when you make a request like a /shop or /checkout. Even the /checkout will be taken by dispatcher servlet. So what is it going to do? Who is it going to dispatch to? Right? And then when your web controller, once it dispatches to your web controller, your web controller is going to get the data from your service layer and give it to, again, dispatcher servlet and say that, hey, can you please forward to this logical name called order confirmation? So we need a Spring config XML that your dispatcher servlet is going to look for. Because your web controllers are going to be Spring managed beans. All of these are Spring managed beans. Somewhere your dispatcher servlet needs to read a Spring config XML, because you are never going to load it. You are never going to bootstrap the Spring config XML like how you did in a traditional application. All this while you have been doing it, application context equal to new class par XML application context. You don't have to do that anymore. You just tell your dispatcher servlet that, hey, this is my Spring config XML, and your dispatcher servlet is going to load automatically. And it's going to load only once. So you don't have to worry about the performance every single time I'm loading it, You don't have to worry about that one too. So we need a Spring config XML, right? Is a convention over configuration. Meaning, you don't have to tell where your Spring Config XML to your dispatcher servlet. There is a convention. You just follow that convention, your dispatcher servlet automatically recognizes that. It has intelligence. It's a simple paradigm. Convention over configuration. Maven exactly works on the same principle. Hey, you don't need to tell me where your source is. I know that source main Java is where your source files are. I know that your XMLs and properties files are in source main resources. I know. I'll go ahead and put them in WebInf classes and make them available for your servlet container as part of the class path. So it's all convention. You don't need to configure. Very less configuration. So by default, the convention is your servlet name, whatever your servlet name, eShop, right? Okay. Your eShop, your servlet name dash servlet.xml is your Spring Config XML. Meaning your WebInf, your web.xml is in WebInf. So this is how your Spring Bean configuration file. My configuration XML file name is going to be eShop dash servlet.xml. Well, I need beans. I'll take 3.2. I need context. And also, I need this guy. I need MVC this time. Okay? I need MVC namespace too. Click next. That's it. Okay.
What did you do? What did you do?
Oh, just now?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I created a Spring Config XML. All I did was wherever I wanted to create, right click. Oh, this only works in STS. If you have a simple Eclipse, this one does not work. You have to copy paste from this somewhere.
No, mine is STS actually.
Okay.
36.
I'm just making a point. That's all. Right click, new, Spring Bean configuration file, and then just say test. And then you select your namespaces, your location of the namespace, location of the namespace, location of the namespace, and then click next, and then finish. It will give you this. It's for free. Really, you have to copy paste from somewhere in the web. Nobody remembers. When you join the companies, right? None of your team members remembers it. So don't even worry about. Never try to by heart any of these concepts. Nope. By heart any of these. This is not a concept. This is just a file, right? So never try to by heart and never try to remember anything. If you ask me again tomorrow, I don't remember. Even now, it generated for me. Okay, so don't worry about it. Now, in your Spring Config XML, what do you have to do? You have to do context component scan and base package equal to whatever your base package is. What's your base package? com.eshop, sure. What is an XSD? XML schema definition. Com eShop. I'll just say com training, okay? Because I'm going to remove all of this. I just removed all of this now, and I'm removing my Spring Config XML too from here. I don't need this guy, and I'm going to create a package called com training Spring MVC, and here I'm going to say let's say I want to say hello world, right? Hello world controller. Oh, maybe I'm jumping the gun here. Okay. So I think we all understand what it does, right? So base package, com training, it's going to look for your Spring Bean factory, our application context is going to look for the Java beans that are annotated with one of those stereotyped annotations at controller, at component, at repository, at service. Okay? Now, that's all you need. Okay? That's all you need actually. At this point, that's all you need. Now, you configured your dispatcher servlet, you specified by convention, you specified your Spring config XML. What's next? Let's step back and talk about the architecture. Request is coming from the browser. Your dispatcher servlet is configured as Spring front controller, so it's going to take the request. And then your dispatcher servlet is going to read this Spring config XML. And then how does it identify based on this URL if you want to go to /hello? How does it know that you want to go to hello controller? How does it know that? First, let's create this controller. Let's create this controller called, I'll say hello controller. It's a simple Java class. Okay? And all the controllers are going to be annotated with anyone. What is that annotation? Stereotyped annotation called for controllers
At controller.
at controller. Okay? And now, is this a servlet? Can anyone tell me, is this a servlet?
No,
What is this then?
it's a class.
No, it's a class.
It's a Java-based
It's a Java
component.
class.
It's called controller. It's called web controller. Okay? This is a web controller and we have a service. Those are service classes. And we have the repositories. Those are DAOs or repositories. So your controller calls service, service calls DAO, DAO uses JDBC or some other data layer to go to the database, right? So now I wanted to say, I don't want to say anything. I just want to say hello, right? So I'm just going to write a simple method. Just say hello. Okay. Now, I want this particular method to be called when a request has this kind of URL /hello. Understand here. All this while in web.xml, we have been configuring, this is my URL pattern, please go to my servlet only. But Spring is taking us to the next level saying that, hey, not only going to the controller, you can go to the method and say that I want this method to be called when URL matching me. What is that? /hello. If somebody comes with /hello, I want my say hello method to be called. It can be your method name. There's no do get, do post, no more convention. This is your simple Java class. You can test it. You are just annotating it. There is another annotation called, it's not fair to expect this annotation from any of you, but if you know Spring MVC, any of you, even day one of Spring MVC, you probably know. Anyone knows?
Is it request mapping?
Yes. It's called at request mapping. Okay? And here we'll say /hello.
Okay.
So here, if somebody comes with the /hello, Spring dispatcher servlet is going to take the request, okay, because your URL pattern is matching. It's a front controller. So every single request is going to be taken by dispatcher servlet anyway. And now through convention, it is going to load this eshop--servlet.xml only once. And it's going to load all the Spring managed beans. All the Spring managed beans, when I say all the controllers, all the services, all the repositories, and all the components. all the Java classes that are annotated with any of these annotation. And since this your hello controller is annotated with at controller, so this is going to be a Spring Manager bean. Is this a Spring Manager bean? Yes. Who is going to instantiate it? Your Spring Bean factory is going to do that. You are never going to maintain it, right? You are never going to manage it. Hello controller, controller equal to new hello controller. You're never going to do that because your Spring's dependency injection does not come into picture. Getting it? Of course, this controller does not have any dependencies, but if it had any dependencies, Spring would have injected them. Anyways, and now every method here can have its own request mapping. That's another beauty. It's not at the class level. Now it's method level. So /hello will be given to say hello. And now I'm just going to say, I'm not doing anything. System out println. Hey, I'm in say hello of hello controller. Okay. And ideally here I'll call my calling service and get the data, right? Now I got the data. Of course, in this case, I'm writing world's simplest Spring MVC at this point because I want to do it like a baby steps, right? Now I called service and got the data. And now what do I do? According to the architecture, what's the next step? What's the next step?
Resolver. You're going to put that in the resolver.
JSP.
Who cares about the resolver? Who cares about the resolver?
The dispatcher has to really dispatch it to the right place, so it has to go through the resolver, right?
Right. But does your controller need to tell anything to dispatcher? Saying that please forward it to something? No?
Controller to that string. Controller.
You came here, your request from the browser came to this one, it went to service class, got the data and everything. Now I need to give it to my view, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, yeah.
I'm not going to say that request dispatcher equal to new request.get request dispatcher. I'm not doing it anymore. That all of that is going to be taken care by my dispatcher servlet. But all I need to tell my dispatcher servlet is that, hey, dispatcher servlet, please forward to this logical view name. I don't know if it's a JSP. I don't know if it's a velocity template. I don't know if it's a free market template. Whatever that view technology is, but please forward to my view. What is that view? Some logical view name. I need to send that logical view name, agree, as written statement. So I can say string here and just say that hello world or something, someone's name. I'll say Monica. This is just a logical view name. Understand that?
Okay.
Are we clear so far, everybody? What is this one here?
Yeah. Just a word.
This one is the JSP, hello world.
No, it's just a logical name.
It's just a string, that's it.
String. It's just a string, nothing else.
We used to do it all these while. It's not just a string, okay. All these while, it's actually, Uma is right. This is a view name, okay. Logical view name. All these while we are doing it, right? Like this, request dispatcher, RD equal to request dot get request dispatcher, etc. Remember? Right?
Oh, instead of WebINF and then all the JSP.
/WebINF/JSP/ hello world.jsp. This is how I used to forward it because I'm done here. I am supposed to call my web controller is supposed to call the service layer, and I did call. I got the data back, and now I need to forward it to my JSP. This is what I need. I used to do it, right? But there is an anti-pattern here. What is that? There is something wrong here. What is that? Well, I'm tied too much to my view. If the location of my view changes, I'm going to be changed. This is not a good design. So rather, I'm only going to say that, hey, this is my logical name. That's all. You take it, whatever the real one is called. Real one is called maybe hello.jsp, or real one is called whatever that one is. Okay? I don't care. And I'm not even doing the dispatcher request dispatcher dot forward. I don't have to do any of that. All of that is going to be done by the dispatcher servlet. Make sense, guys? So this is a
So
logical.
then in that case,
In
suppose
that case, it's a
we
string.
can,
It's a logical view.
No, but
so
this
in
hello
that
world
case,
what will create
a
to
lot
the
of-
JSP. This
But it's not going to be the first name of the JSP, right? It's just a bunch of characters which we are going to map to something physical.
So, you got it. You got it. You precisely
It's a
got it.
string. That's what Jyoti and I have been saying. It's a string.
no, basically it can be any form of the views. So suppose Venkat, if we have different JSPs and HTML, PDF, we can reference to any of these, correct? So we need, suppose I have two HTMLs, I need to make sure that I give the unique names for those HTMLs.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Let us step back here. Let us step back here. Everybody, take out everything, erase everything. I'm reiterating again. This is a logical view name. Somehow magically this is going to be resolved to the physical path of the view, the real view, the real JSP path, wherever that is located. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Now, the next part is, next step is, how is that going to be resolved? Well, hello world equal to /webinf/JSP/hello world.jsp. Who is going to, or how does
In the
your
resolver.
dispatcher servlet know? Hold.
In the resolver.
Just hang in there. Okay. How does your dispatcher servlet know? You have this hello world, and how is this going to resolve it? For that, Spring MVC has a different component called view resolver. Okay? And that too, this view resolver also, the beauty is that it's not just one way of resolving it. You can implement your own way of resolving it also. But you don't need to do that. In the most simplistic way, your Spring MVC is already giving you a way. If this is your logical name, okay, and if you don't want to mention the physical name, and if this matches your JSP page, all you need to do is there is a specific view resolver called internal resource view resolver. There is a special view resolver called internal resource view resolver, and we just configure it as a Spring managed bean, and we are going to specify it. I'm just going to show you. In Spring Web MVC, see here, in the servlet.view, there is a view resolver that's already given by internal resource view resolver. But the beauty lies in the architecture. What I mean by that is you can write your own view resolver if you want to. You don't need to, actually. Okay, and how do we configure this? Let's go ahead. Let's go to your Spring config XML. And can anyone tell me, how do I configure my Spring managed beans in XML?
Bean,
Yes, bean.
bean, and then
Sure,
ID,
bean. Every bean will
ID.
have
ID.
and then
Good job.
class.
The name.
Oh, wait, slowly, guys. I'm not as fast as you guys are. ID equal to view
Name.
resolver.
And then
And
you give
class,
a class,
right?
class for the view resolver.
Let's see if it can view resolver. Oh, sorry. Internal resource view resolver. Internal resource view resolver. Look at it. Okay. So you configure it as a Spring managed bean, and this one has two setter methods. It's a setter based injection. How do I do the setter based injection, by the way?
Using property.
Excellent.
Property.
Property
And
name
then
equal to, there is a field called prefix. Okay. And then I'll give the value. And then there is another property called suffix. And then I'll give the value. Okay. What is prefix? What is suffix? Well, I just mentioned that your hello world is your logical name, right? And let's say you are keeping all of your JSPs in your WebINF JSP here, right? I'm deleting all the JSPs here. Okay. And
I'm guessing prefix to be the path.
Yes, you are precisely right.
Because you said some time ago.
Okay. Look at it here. If I'm going to name my JSP as hello world.jsp, in where am I putting it? /webinf/JSP/hello world.jsp, right? You just say that in your prefix, you just give the path. Okay? And then in your suffix is your file extension. Your file extension is your .jsp. Right. Now let's look at it. The beauty is that once you configure this internal resource view resolver, maybe you have 10,000 JSPs. All you need to follow is a simple convention. It's again convention power over configuration. You don't need to specify 10,000 configurations in an XML. Nope, just one. Look at it. This is how your Spring dispatcher servlet is going to do that. Once you give me hello world, right? Who takes the control now? After this method is done, after you returned it, who takes the control, guys? Anyone?
The view resolver. Then.
After you return, the control goes to the resolver. To the resolver, it goes to the target, to the JSP.
Anyone? Let me say this. When a request comes from the browser, dispatcher servlet takes the request. As we all know, it's a front controller pattern, right? According to the front controller pattern, your dispatcher servlet takes the request, and then it reads your Spring config XML and identifies which web controller it needs to invoke, and it will invoke that particular method. In this case, it's a say hello, and then whatever it needs to do it did it. It gave me the data back. Data, somehow it gets it. We didn't talk about the data, but after that, where does control go? Dispatcher servlet.
It goes to dispatch servlet, and from this dispatch servlet to view resolver.
Yes. So dispatcher servlet, in fact, let me try to draw this one. I know it's already cluttered, ugly, but still I'm going to make it uglier. See here, dispatcher servlet is going to call this guy. I can't even draw a straight line. That's the problem with me. So dispatcher servlet is going to call this, your, what is that controller? Hello controller? Yeah, hello controller, right? And now this guy gave a logical view name called hello world. Now your dispatcher servlet, before it forwards to the view, it's going to call a different component called view resolver. That view resolver is what we just configured. That view resolver is what we just configured in Spring config XML. It's going to call this guy and says that, hey, this is my logical name. Can you give me the physical path of the JSP? How does it? It doesn't even know that it's a JSP. Only view resolver knows that based on the prefix. What it does is your prefix and then your logical name, which is your hello world, and then suffix. So essentially what your view resolver is going to give it is nothing but your prefix, okay, and then your logical name, and then your suffix. That's it. Sorry. That's it. It's going to give like that. And now it's going to give it to view resolver is going to give it to again dispatcher servlet. Now dispatcher servlet has those two lines of code. Request dispatcher rd equal to request dot get request dispatcher rd dot forward. It gives the complete path like this. So we don't have to worry about the fact that it's a JSP. We don't have to worry about the fact that it's going to live in WebINF JSP. It can change. If you change all of your JSPs to a different location, just change your Spring config XML. You just tell your internal resource view resolver that, hey, my JSPs have been changed from WebINF JSP to /WebINF /JSP /Venkat /Sean. That. Okay? You can change all of that without having to change a line of code anywhere, any of your Java classes. Now, once it gets the fully qualified path of the JSP page, what does it do now? It's going to forward to the JSP page. Are you getting the power of it? All these while we've been writing all of this do get, do post, and then they're calling the service, all right? And then request dispatcher rd equal to request.get request dispatcher, all of this. No tight coupling now. It's clearly separated. Now it's going to be forwarded to the JSP. So all you need now is have the JSP page at the right location. You have it. All you do is just say that whatever you want to say. I'm from Spring MVC.
Then why don't they make it completely menu driven? Like no coding, nothing, no Java programmer, just a menu, and that's it. It's
Menu
like that.
driven, huh?
Right, do the whole thing menu driven. I mean, like, then what are Java programmers required for this? I mean, like, there's a lot of steps actually.
I agree. There's everything, as I told you, it's all, it has its own pros and cons. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been there too, actually. But MVC is such a great thing, actually. Okay. I wrote MVC myself, meaning handwritten MVC to struts to, there are like tens of MVC frameworks at some point. You have your struts, tapestry. Oh my God, I don't even remember all those names anymore. It's like, yeah. Now Spring MVC and struts 2 also, people are using to an extent, a little bit. But Spring MVC is very popular. Anyways, so it's forwarded to this guy. That's it. We're done. Piece of cake, right? And the beauty lies in the dependency injection. If your controller has a dependency, that is where the beauty of Spring MVC. You just say that private hello service. And you just say that.
Make it private has a spelling mistake.
Okay, sure.
B.
Thank you. And you just say that just auto wired. That's it. Okay. You just say that auto wired. It's going to be your hello service is going to be injected automatically into this guy. How elegant programming it is. It's beautiful. So we don't have that kind of service at this point, but we will eventually, because we wanted to write the world's simplest MVC, Spring MVC, right? So I think we're done. Let's take a look at it. Before I do, I'll just do a simple Maven update project, just in case any, and then just Run as server. Okay, let's take a look at it. Choose an existing server. I'll remove this guy, and then this is my server, right? So let's see. Oops. This is my server. Where modules, beauty, and then path is called eShop3. eShop3. Yeah. Let me change this guy to what? Splash / Spring MVC1. And then let's let it reload. Sure. Let's go to home page. Obviously don't have any home page. So what do we have to do now? / hello, right? Hey, look at it. When you called / hello, the request was taken by your dispatcher servlet because it's been configured as a front controller. And this one by convention read your Spring config XML, loaded all the Spring managed beans. I mean, there is only one bean, but loaded all the Spring managed beans, and also loaded this internal resource view resolver with this prefix and suffix. Now understand, it looks at what it does is it looks at every single Spring managed bean with @controller annotation. All the web controllers should be annotated with @controller, and then it's going to look at your @request mapping. So it's going to say that, hey, all the Spring managed beans, I have a request for / hello from a browser. Okay, so who is going to take it? Now hello controller is going to say that, hey, it's me. Okay, I'll take it. My say hello method will be called by dispatcher servlet because this is matching your URL pattern. See here, / hello and / hello, and then it printed this guy. Hello, I'm in say hello of hello controller. It's going to print this guy, and then return hello world. Now this is the logical view name, and now hey, do I have any view resolvers in my Spring config XML? Yes, boss. I have this internal resource view resolver, and now I'm going to ask this guy, hey, I have this logical view name called hello world. I'm giving it to you. Can you give me the physical path of whatever the file is? And then it is going to construct with this prefix, with this suffix, the fully qualified JSP location. And then your dispatcher servlet is going to forward to the JSP, and that JSP is what we put it here in hello world.jsp. That's it. The world's simplest Spring MVC implementation. We did not call service. We did not call service. We did not go to database and grab something. We still don't know how to pass the data. See, in this case, we wrote simple string. When we return a simple string, your dispatcher servlet by convention, again, a lot of conventions, but conventions, there's no configuration or very, very minimal configuration. When you return string from your method, it's going to understand that, hey, this is the logical name of the JSP. And then it's going to construct the physical path of the JSP. It doesn't have to be JSP, I keep saying it. It can be anything. It's going to construct that from your view resolver, and then it's going to forward it to that. But what happens if I want to give some data to view the dispatcher servlet and say that, hey, can you pass this data to my view when you call it? How do I do that? Well, we didn't talk about it yet because this is the simplistic Spring MVC implementation in the world. Any questions? I'll take the questions and then I'll show you the actual architecture, and then we'll revisit all the points that I mentioned. Was it difficult or was it easy? Yeah, Madhavi?
In web.xml, sorry, not web.xml, that config, eShop servlet config, we mentioned eShop, right? On
Right.
the dispatcher servlet, what is that purpose? Like, why we mentioned eShop there? I didn't understand that.
Which one? Where?
eShop servlet.xml.
Okay. Oh, anyone?
Oh, okay.
Why did I configure? So why did I name this XML as eShop-servlet.xml?
Okay.
Any takers for Madhavi's question? Anyone can answer it?
Convention over configuration, power of
Convention.
configuration.
Okay, explain more about it. Meaning,
We need this for managing the beans and
okay,
for loading the web XML once doing the loading of the program, doing the loading of bootstrapping the program.
I'm convinced that you understand the concept, and Madhavi also understands the concept. I'm convinced. Anyone else can say it a little differently?
Actually, I didn't understand the question.
The question is, why did you name your, I'm rephrasing her question, okay? Why did you name this XML eShop-servlet.xml? Why didn't you call Madhavi.xml? Why didn't you call Showan.xml?
Okay, there might be some convention over there.
Because application
What is
servlet
that?
name is eShop.
There
The
might
root
be a
context
convention
is
over
also-
there that the
Let's think.
eShop has to be.
Go ahead.
But I don't know. It may be some other name too. I'm not sure actually. I can't say.
Now let's ask Madhavi itself. She got the answer, but let's see if we can put it in a right way. All of you guys said is the right way, but let's see.
So we mentioned this as a front controller, like any request by / we are giving to eShop servlet.xml.
No. That's not what your question was. Your question was what I understood. Why it is called eShop dash something.xml, eShop server.xml. Why we're putting eShop dash server.xml? That's your question.
Let me interject, okay? Let me just interfere for a second here, guys. What I was saying is, all of you guys said is correct, okay? But I'm convinced that you know the concept, but let me say this little differently. When a request comes from when a request comes for something, /hello, /shop, whatever that one is, okay? When a request comes from the browser, it goes to web.xml. We all know that. In web.xml, it is configured that your dispatcher server takes it, right? Now, you have a Spring config XML and you have dispatcher servlet is the one that took the request. Your dispatcher servlet took the request coming from the browser. And you have a Spring config XML that is called Madhavi.xml. How does dispatcher servlet knows that it needs to load Madhavi.xml before taking the first request? How does it know that? So there should be some tying that Spring MVC said it. Hey, you can configure it. Definitely you can change that to eShop-servlet.xml to something else, Madhavi.xml, and you can definitely configure it, but you don't need to configure it. You don't need to complicate the things. Whatever your dispatcher servlet, your servlet name is, this guy, whatever your name is, your servlet name dash servlet, servlet.xml is what it looks for unless you customize it. So by convention, let me finish, Sean. By convention, whatever your servlet name is, your servlet name dash servlet.xml is your Spring config XML. Your dispatcher servlet, when it is called for the first time, it is going to look for whatever the servlet name is, dash servlet.xml, and it's going to load this whole Spring configuration XML. Unless it loads it, unless the Spring config XML is loaded by Spring, your dispatcher servlet does, until that point, dispatcher servlet is not going to understand that your hello controller is one of the web controllers, right? There should be a mapping between your Spring config XML on one side and your dispatcher servlet is on the other side. Your request has been taken by the dispatcher servlet. You have loaded the complete Spring config in a different XML. You need to marry them, right? That is by convention your servlet name dash servlet.xml. Did all of you get it?
Yeah,
Every one
it's
of
a
you.
convention. Yeah, it's a convention where you have to
One
put
second,
the
Sean.
first name of the XML as your servlet name.
Right.
Yes.
Your
Yes.
servlet name dash servlet. If you call this test, okay? If you call this test, what would be your Spring config XML name?
Test servlet.xml.
Uma,
Test.
did you get it?
Yes.
Test dash servlet.xml. If I call this Uma, then it becomes Uma dash servlet.xml. That is what it looks for. That should be your Spring config XML. Agree? Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So that is how your dispatcher servlet is going to look for the Spring config XML and load it. You are not loading it anywhere. All this while you've been loading it with the code, application context equal to new class bar XML application context. Did you see that anywhere? No, you are not loading it. Dispatcher servlet is going to load it. And you look at the console here. Look at this one. You read your the logs properly. Servlet context resource, loading XML bean definitions from /webnf/eshop server, eshop servlet.xml. Okay, and then blah, defining beans, hello controller. Look at it. Your Spring is going to load it. Your dispatcher servlet is going to load your Spring config XML. Okay.
Yeah, Venkat, at this point, I got a question.
Yes.
That is, this is fine. This is pretty good. The first name of the XML should be the name of the servlet. First name, I mean what is before the dash. Okay.
What is before
now,
the dash? Oh,
dash, like servlet dash, servlet, like eShop
okay.
dash.
Yeah.
I'm calling that first name for short.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, in the industry, but you are saying that there are other ways too, but this is the most conventionalized way. But in the industry, they follow this way of naming, or they
Absolutely
do the other. Okay, that's fine. That's okay.
They follow the convention.
Conventional. That's fine.
Yep. I can even talk about how do you change it if you want to change it. But I'll not talk about it. But you guys think about it. If you were to write servlet, how would you configure it is my question, and leave it at that. I don't want to follow convention. How do I change it? Think about it. This is your servlet, and in servlet, you know servlet concepts. Think about it. That. Okay. And now, before I show you, now I think we covered all the aspects of the whole Spring MVC architecture. There is something called, when a request comes from the browser, your dispatcher server takes the request, and then based on the convention, it's going to load Spring config XML. I don't need to say that. And Spring config XML will not be loaded every single time. You know that. It's going to be loaded only once. Okay? But with every single request, before it calls the controller, right? So, hey, I got a request for /hello. Which controllers, which method needs to be called? Understand this. When I get a request for /hello, which controllers, which method needs to be called? is also, it's not, your dispatcher servlet is not going to, your dispatcher servlet is not going to resolve that. That is also going to be delegated to some other component called handler mapping. There is a different component called handler mapping. Like how you have a view resolver, there is a different component called handler mapping. You don't have to worry about this one. Internally, it will call when request comes from the browser as a first step. Okay, it first calls a component called handler mapping as a number step 2, and then it asks, hey, I got a /hello. Which controller, which method should I call it? Then it's going to give me that, oh, /hello. Then you have to call hello controller dot say hello. Then it's going to call this guy as a step number 3. So there is another component called handler mapping, but you don't have to put that in your Spring Config XML anywhere, because by default, the default handler mapping is that it's going to look for all the controllers that are annotated with @controller. There, it's going to look for @request mapping, whatever the URL is. So it's going to scan all the controllers. If you have 1,000 controllers, it's going to scan all of them. And each class has, let's say, average 10 methods. Then it's going to scan all the 10,000 methods and say, and it's going to maintain a map under the hood. Okay, this URL, this class, this method, this URL, this class, this method, this URL, this class, this method. As soon as the URL comes in, it will call the appropriate class and method. But that's actually is done by the default handler mapping, which you don't have to configure it. But there is the beauty is in the architecture. The reason I'm saying the beauty is in the architecture is that you can customize even that one. By convention, you don't have to define anything, but you can define your own handler mapping. You can define your own view resolver. I don't want to do this. If I say hello world, it should not resolve to /hello world /JSP /hello world.jsp. No. If I give red, then it should be /webinf /JSP /hello world.jsp. Is there any relation between these two? No. But you can implement your own view resolver to make Spring MVC work like that. So it's highly configurable. It's not only convention over configuration, but if you want to configure it, you can configure it so well or based on your needs. You don't want to complicate the things though. You never want to. Is there any reason to call this red? Your logical name where your physical name is hello world.jsp. Is there any reason? Absolutely zero. If at all you have a reason to have your own view resolver, Spring MVC supports that. That's my point. That's why I'm saying the beauty is in the architecture. Anyways, now my last step here is that I wanted to show you a nice in images. Anywhere you can go. Let's take a look at this guy. Since I've been drawing all of this ugly, so you don't understand what I'm saying here, right? So here, because I've been writing as I was going, but here now, since we're all done with this diagram, now let's look at a neat diagram and see. I can never draw something like this on the board. So, okay, when a request comes from the browser, you dispatch a servlet. This is not portal. Dispatcher servlet is going to take the request, okay, and then it is going to ask this component called handler mapping. Hey, I got a request for /hello. Who do I call? Which controller, which method should I call? It gives something, and then it calls the appropriate controller, web controller. It's going to call login controller. It's going to call hello controller. It's going to call checkout controller. It's going to call shopping cart controller. It's going to call sign up controller, whatever the controller is, right? And here, this controller is going to, behind the scenes, call the service. That service is going to call the DAO. That DAO is going to call the database. The data goes to DAO, data goes to service, data goes to controller. It's all of that is not shown. I don't have to show it, right? I mean, whoever this guy, whoever did this one, okay? He did not show this one. But under the hood, controller is going to call service, service is going to call the DAO and all. Now, once it gets the data, now it's going to give it to the dispatcher servlet and say that, hey, please go to this logical view name. And I'm giving you the data. And now dispatcher servlet is going to say, okay, now I got the logical view name. Now I need to call, how do I get the physical path of that view name, whatever that one is, JSP name. Now I'll call the view resolver component. Now that view resolver, I'll give it, hey, view resolver, whoever is configured in me. By the way, I got this one. Can you give me the physical path? This guy will give the physical path. And now this guy will forward to the physical path, which is your JSP page. And JSP is going to give you the fully loaded dynamic HTML. And this guy is going to flush it back to the browser. That's it. Like exactly like MVC, but in a front controller. So this is going to act as front controller. No controller will get the request bypassing this guy. Everybody in the world should go through our front door, which is the only door, which is your dispatcher servlet. That's it. Now, any questions? Sleep over this architecture, sleep over whatever we talked, and then do some examples. Do the simplistic MVC implementations in the world. I mean, Spring MVC implementations in the world. Do a couple more. I'm sure you'll get it. Okay.
I couldn't find a Spring config XML.
Your eShop/servlet.xml is your Spring config XML. It has been named, but
no, every time I did copy, but means you can see in I couldn't find the Spring config XML. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not following. Maybe it's maybe it's a check-in issue or something, or I don't know. I did not follow it. Okay.
It's in resources. Actually, maybe she's not looking at the right place. It should be under resources, right?
Yes. Let's see what her. I don't know what the question is actually. So let's see what are you looking for?
This one, Spring config XML. This one I couldn't find. Where will I?
So all this while we put it in source main resources.
Source main resources.
I think that's what Showan was trying to say. Source main resources. Source main resources. Go up.
What, Madhavi? I was thinking you know all these things.
Go up.
I'm joking.
Go up.
Here.
One more up. Two more. Two more.
Resource. Yeah, one more.
One more.
Oh, yeah, this
yep.
one.
That's the one. Double click on that.
Okay.
Yes.
You got it.
That's your Spring config XML.
No, but okay.
Open it, you'll get it.
You got it?
You know one thing, go to Spring
No,
1.
every time I went to Spring main resources, but this one I copied your project.
Okay. So what are you saying? Oh, magically nobody gives it to you. It's not free. Free meaning you got what I'm saying. It doesn't get created automatically. You have to create it. You have to right click on it.
Yeah.
In source main resources, right click on that. New.
Yeah, this one I couldn't find that.
Oh,
So that I'm
just
saying.
Oh, okay,
because
okay, okay.
you are
That's
in
fine.
Java
That makes
EE perspective. That's why. That's all. There's no big deal. You have two options here. You can go to other and look for it. Go to other and look for
Yeah,
it. Or if you want that, okay, look types Spring. Yep. See that
now
Spring
we have
Bean
gone past
configuration
that
file.
point actually. We can copy it from Madhavi, you can copy it from some other place
But if you
because
ever
now
have
we
to
know.
do that, yeah, second one, Spring Bean
this one.
configuration. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Select it.
Because every time I copied and I want to know means where is it? So I'm asking.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this is because you have to click on other, right? It's because you are in Java EE perspective. You go
Yeah.
to Spring perspective, then you will get it automatically. Naturally, you will get it.
Okay, okay,
Okay, that I also did not know.
okay, okay.
Thanks for asking that
And
question.
yeah, and eShop service is not working. The problem
Okay,
is.
let's look at it. In fact, as a matter of fact, I'm not looking at it. You guys are looking at it. So, I does it make sense to record this one, or I'll record it? You know,
You record it, yeah. It'll
yeah.
be useful.
So you guys, all of you, help her understand what's going on there.
Actually, she knows much better than many of us now. That Spring thing, because I've been following her questions
This one
and
is
she's advanced.
yeah. This is
This is very popular error, so I'm not going to help. All of you guys figure out. Make it big. I'm
Yeah,
sure you
Madhavi.
can, as a team, you can figure out.
Yeah, Madhavi,
I've
would
set
you
this-
please go to the Spring config? The problem is with the
Before trying
Yeah.
to solve it, guys, always read the error couple of times, at least 2-3
I've
times.
set
Before
this-
jump into the solution, always read the error fully, loud. That's the only suggestion I can give.
maximized. I don't see
Maximize it and fully read that. No such bean definition exception, no qualifying bean of type, blah, 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 whatever that one is, you read it fully.
Scroll it.
It tells you.
Scroll.
eShop service.
Or you can maximize that
Yeah, or something.
by double clicking on that head.
Here.
No, little above. Yeah, there. Double click. Yeah, I got it.
That's it. No, I think
Product service.
did you annotate the service for product service?
Yeah, right. Yes.
Product service.
Yeah, at service.
It's more basic than that actually. It's not finding this thing. So
Yeah.
if you're invoking that eShop services.
Service. No.
Yeah.
eShop services. You don't
Product
have eShop
service.
service. Okay,
Yeah.
you're invoking with what? eShop services, right?
Yeah, at service, product
Okay,
service.
and then
Maybe. Yes, something.
auto-wired and all that. Okay. Com training or com Java.
Base package you have to
Yeah.
Give com
base
Java.
package you have to give com.eshop.
Yes. Yeah.
Com
You
Java
have to
or
change
com
training to
Yeah. Save it.
Actually, I give com Java, so I was thinking com Java.
So run it one more time.
Wow,
Yeah, it's working.
you got it.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
So, Madhavi Adluru, right?
Yeah. Would you please also? I've got a problem. Would you guys please help me with that?
Which one?
I've got a problem with.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay, you have some problem? Okay.
Yeah.
I am giving you.
Control.
Here. How can. 1 minute.
I think Madhvi Udulu, or if she's organizer, she would probably give me the.
Okay.
It's I don't know what's going on, but I can't get this. Can you guys?
Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Yeah.
Status report.
It is. I just copied what we did last time is eShop, but I couldn't able to get this.
Okay, what's the issue?
The issue
Okay, you have
is
got errors in your resources though. So your Spring that dash XML file, Spring config XML has got errors because
yeah.
you've got a red X in your resources. See,
Still with
Yeah,
it's
but
asking me.
before
Madhavi?
that,
Can we see the
before that,
problems view?
sure.
Yeah, are you guys doing good? Just checking, that's all.
Yeah, Madhavi's problem was solved.
Very good.
Okay,
Are we
do
looking at
window problems. Oh, you got it. Okay, problems. Okay, click on that.
I think there is element type property must be followed by other.
There's a music running in the background.
Me? No.
Venkat, can we talk while they are doing this thing?
Yeah, please.
Okay, see, for let's
Madhavi,
reading.
are you looking at it?
If do we need to really read that Spring 2 where auto wiring is there?
Do we need to read? I didn't understand.
Read means I mean to say watch the tape Spring 2. I'm talking about current batch. Current batch means the last year's 2014 batch.
Sure.
Spring 1 I have seen and I've already done that.
Okay.
Spring 2 has details on auto wiring and all those things.
Yeah.
So do we need to really watch that?
I don't know, honestly. Look at it because
Okay.
it's 80% same stuff, but as I told you guys several times, I'm a human being. Depends
Not
on the
possible to
day of depends on the day. Maybe if you compare it, you might think that, hey, this guy did better job this time, or you might say that this guy did better job last time. So you might say either way. So
Okay, then let me rephrase my question. Do we
probably,
need to study auto wiring?
oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
There's no way out of it.
Question out of that. Okay.
How come nobody is presenting? Antenna, you're done or what?
Antenna is presenting right now.
We can't see you guys. Antenna?
Antenna, where are you?
Yeah. I'm here.
We can't see you.
Can you see now?
Anybody can see him?
No, not me.
Okay,
Now
now
we
we
can.
can, yeah. Man.
So this is, I just copied what we did last time and tried to do a Spring JDBC on it.
Okay.
Uh,
What's the deal?
one thing,
Error.
the first error is this one. I couldn't able to.
Your email is coming up.
Okay. First things first. I think team is on the right track. So let's see try to understand what this guy is saying here, right? Right? Mouse over that red mark, and read it carefully.
Property must be followed.
Maybe wait 1 second. Yeah, go ahead. Element type property must be followed by either attribute. So there is a small typo somewhere. There is a small or Eclipse craziness could be. Can you close it and open it?
No, I did that several times. But
Okay.
The whole Eclipse.
Value equal to close. Save it. Did you save it?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you see any errors here?
I don't think so. But give me the 1 second. 1 second. Give me the control. Let me drive the show.
We need one closing bracket, right?
Right. Where is that? Oh, this guy. Oh. Yep, I saw that.
After
Where is yours? Yeah, I saw that. I saw
after
that.
home class.
You have good eyes, Shailaja.
Thanks.
Great eyes. Because I was looking at it, and it clearly is telling you that it's missing, but didn't realize.
Yeah.
Did you look at it? Did you see antenna? Right before closing, I got it. See here,
Before property
this guy,
starting.
this guy. Oh,
Oh, the space?
yep. No, see here, property name equal to blah, value equal to blah, right? Like that.
Oh, okay.
One second. Okay, yep, like that. You get it?
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay.
Looks like you typed than rather than getting it.
Yeah, that's how I thought that's how I could learn it. So
When
that's
you type it, that's
just copy.
okay. Now save it.
Yeah.
Should be gone. Yep.
Right.
Good job.
All right.
Okay, now restart and see what's happening. I'm hoping that all of you watched the debugging, how to debug your application. Very, very, very important.
Venkat, usually I do a sys out and do it.
No, that's not a good technique. If you spend
Venkat, for that matter, can you take like maybe half an hour session on the best ways to debug?
I think I already
There is
covered
a
it.
video
So
that-
can you watch the video, Jyoti?
Okay.
Because it's already there. That's why. And then
Sure.
there is a log4j also. I talked about it. But definitely come with questions, Jyoti. Absolutely, I'll spend. Okay, no big deal. We'll talk. Mainly because I wanted to, introduce some fancy stuff, right? So that's why I want to use that time for this. That's very important. Okay, what's the deal? Always look at the console and see what the error is. Okay, now you're getting 404, right? How do you know what's your context name is? /eShop3 is what you are trying to go. So how do you know your context name of your application?
I'll just go to the Tomcat deployment descriptor there.
Double click on your server.
Here.
Yeah, double click on that.
Yeah, there is a module here.
Yes, go to modules and see what your context name is. If it's a /eShop3, then maybe that's a legitimate issue, meaning there is no servlet that is configured for /. Simple. Okay, path is /eShop, buddy. It's not eShop3.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to do that.
Okay. Let's do /eShop. Okay. Nothing, right? It could be a genuine 404, right? Meaning in web.xml, is there something that's configured for /?
Yeah,
there is.
Can I show you that?
Then give me the control. Let me drive it quickly.
You have the control.
Okay, just give me that. Boy, your machine or my machine, or one of our machines is slow. It's
probably
after I'm clicking, after a couple of seconds, if not.
Yeah, it takes some time.
So it's going to home page servlet, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to home page servlet. Com eShop web. I clicked for your information. Okay, first of all, before any of it, can you do a simple sysout? Oh, you are debugging already, yeah? Okay, then I'll put debug. Yeah, what happened? Huh. Oh boy. Okay, now let's go to I'm clicking, if you know, just telling everyone, be patient. Okay. Mm. You do get, okay. I think this is not good for Java development. It's good for web browsing, I think. Either machine or internet.
Probably the machine there, or the connection. I don't know.
Okay. Um, let me look at the. And so this is what you've been using all this while. 8085. Okay. Oh, it's not just slow, man. It's.
Can I probably type it?
One second.
Venkat, after antenna, I have a small problem.
Yeah.
I think it's a very trivial one. I cannot find out.
No problem. Yeah. Let's look. But it's let's see when it responds. Can you? Yeah. Where is your console?
It's here. It's here. Sorry.
Can you open
We
that?
can see.
It will be a bit fast if I do that.
Oh, you can see console? I can see it. I can see the browser. It's opening up for me. Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking 10 times before doing anything because it's doing.
Yes, I got my problem.
I would say everybody, can leave. It may take. I don't know. I don't know when it really taking seconds to respond for each click. I've been putting here for a few seconds and it's not responding. So just wait. Did you ever run any application here in this machine?
Yeah, I think it's the internet connection because when I do here from my side, it's a bit fast.
Okay.
So,
Okay, that could be true. Yeah.
yeah. If you tell me like.
No, did you do any web application at all on this one? It worked.
Yeah.
On this Tomcat.
Yeah.
No. Not even one.
No. I didn't do any on this. This is a new Tomcat installation I did.
Can you go to 8085 just homepage?
Okay, I'll do that.
Meanwhile, let's take it to Shawan. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I can give you suggestions remotely rather than waiting for it to come up. So antenna, I think that's easy.
Yeah, you're right.
You can see my screen.
And then from Tomcat, and then rerun it one more time. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
You can see my screen, right? Mm-hmm. I'll just close this. Okay. See, this is my running application. Okay. This is just a regular application, and I'll just first demonstrate to you that it runs by running this one. This is 12. Okay. Note that there's 12 over here.
Okay.
It runs pretty fine, so I'm closing that for now.
Okay.
Okay, let it be there. Okay, now I just copied that 12 to 15 and then Mavenized it. Mavenized this one. But after Mavenizing, obviously I had to put the directory, change the directory. I will put these guys over here. Whatever I had in 12, I put them under src main Java following the conventions. Everything same, no error, nothing. But when I'm trying to run that one, I'm getting error and I suspect what the error is, but I don't know what the solution is. Okay, see, this is what's happening. It's not finding it. My suspicion is web.xml is not seeing that.
Before going to web.xml,
okay.
What do you think is the context? Can you take me to your servlet content?
The context? Yeah, I'll show you the context in a second.
Let's start with that.
Hang on a second. Yeah, properties. And
no. Double click on your. Okay. Yeah.
Context settings. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. See.
Right.
Oh.
Cancel it.
Project settings context root. Hang on.
Double click on your Tomcat.
Double click on my Tomcat. Okay. On my Tomcat. Yeah. Here.
Where is your Tomcat? Yeah.
It's over here.
Yeah.
You're seeing the last one.
Yeah. Double click on it. It's in fact. No. Double click on the Tomcat. Go up.
Double click on the Tomcat. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you mean to say you want to see the module, right? Modules. Okay. Now, that guy is sitting here. This is the path. This is the document base. This is the module. Okay, I gave a wrong name over there. That's my mistake. I'm going to correct that, but let me see what happens. Actually, what I have to do is, let me see if it works. I think your suspicion is right. It's still not working. Okay. So what's...
Wait. Where did you give the? Where is your document? Hello. Can I suggest something?
take
Can I
control?
remove everything except this one? Can you please remove?
Remove it.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Before
like-
I look at,
it's too much.
before we any of us look at it, let's do it.
Remove these.
Everything.
So how will I get them back?
You
Yeah,
anytime.
you can run on server.
Yeah.
Go to your project and then.
Yeah. Okay. I know that much, but that's a lot of work. That's what I
No,
was thinking.
it's not.
If there was a shortcut.
Take out that electronic
Okay,
shop too. I'm
It's
sorry,
That's-
but I'm sorry.
No, that's electronic shop. I don't have any problem.
Yeah. Now, save everything, and then
Say how do I save?
it's Control S. I think you already saved it. So, give me the control. Okay. Let me
Take it.
play with it.
Take it. No problem.
Sure. Thank
It's
you.
yours.
Okay.
Venkat, at last, can you check in after that? You finish
I will.
first.
I will. Okay. And the path, I don't know why, but slash test r slash shown. Okay.
Oh.
I change everything. The reason is I want simple.
The path is the context root, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. To be, I want
Yeah, go there.
simple stuff.
The middle one. Take the middle one.
Okay.
Yeah. Over there you can put test. Actually, that question mark is there. Don't forget. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Okay. This is good.
Okay.
I suspect everything. So slash show on. Let's see if we have anything. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. See, when web.xml, after moving, it should not be able to see the new location under /main/java. So how do I make it see it? Do I need to change it here?
I didn't understand that part.
See, over here, the com training this thing is pointing to the old structure location, but it should point to source main Java com training like this, right? See, it's starting. The starting place is com training,
Right.
but now having moved it after Mavenization,
Yep.
so how should I change that?
Yep. We'll get there. Source main Java automatically goes to target and everything, but there is a small problem here. Let's go to browse deployment location. And then this guy, I'm assuming web end classes, com training Amazon, com training Amazon servlets from servlet 2_2015 list customer servlet. Okay, list customer servlet seems to be existing, so your deployment assembly seems to be okay, but let me take one more time. So whatever you have in source main Java, it goes automatically web NF classes. That's what it's saying, deployment assembly, okay?
Okay.
That is why your magic happens. Whatever you put it in source main resources, it goes there in web NF classes.
Yeah.
That's why the magic happens, okay? So, okay. Maven dependencies. All the Maven dependencies go to web NF lib. That's good. That's looking okay. Good. Okay, slash list to me, list customer servlet. Okay, it's okay looking. Let me see if I, do it. That's my console. So it's not event recognizing or what? Okay, then project build automatically is good. Okay. What am I doing? Restart. Let's do it. Want this to complain. Okay. Server started up, but it did not. It behaved as if your this guy is not there. Okay.
What the hell is this?
Maybe locked by another process. I think I know. Because I'm looking at just now, right? I opened up, so that's why. So no worries. Bring in TC server work directory just in case. All of that is gone now.
It's still going actually.
Yeah, let it go. So that's fine. Let's go to deployment location. I still have this guy. Huh?
It's all complete buggy softwares.
Having to looks like exclusively delete this guy. Non-base instance. Work folder, Catalina. Let me clear exclusively. Shift delete. Okay, everything is gone. So now let me even start the server.
You know how much I had to really feel sorry for killing my babies. I had been storing them after each studying your tape. Each
No,
video
it's
after
figure out. More number of times you figure out, the more it's easy. So delete everything. Whatever you did, delete it, restart, delete, restart, delete, restart. And if you get stuck, that's how you learn it. So that's the best way to learn. This is my shortcut. Okay. So it still took me to my okay. The base is I mean the context root.
But Shovan, you give Shovan.
Yeah, no, earlier, right? I deleted all of that, right? So now slash let's see. Okay, so it didn't even recognize it. Okay. Let me index.html. Let me say. Ooh.
He's doing a do-get.
Hey, wait. What is this?
This all came through Mavenization.
No. You can't. Now look at it. Look at the deployment assembly, and then I'm glad that it just came to my mind. Otherwise, I would have spent hours on this. Look at it. Your source main Java goes to WebINF classes. Source main resources goes to all of this, right? So your web.xml is in web content, right? Okay. 1 second, Sean. Let me control it.
Yeah. Just a moment. Yeah. Keep talking. Yeah.
Sorry.
Take it.
Yeah. So everybody, this is not an easy problem to solve. Probably, I mean, it just occurred to me by accident, but otherwise, look at it. Right click, browse deployment location. Go to your wherever this location is. Tomcat cares about it, right? Where is your web.xml? Your web.xml is here, but it is not here. So
it is not in WebINF.
It doesn't matter where you put it. Here you can put it. It doesn't have to be web content. You can put it under show on directory. It doesn't matter. Tomcat doesn't care. At the end of the day, once you deploy it, okay. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, end of the day, when you deploy it, it has to be here, right? It has to be here in your deployment. It all happened is because of your copy paste, Mr. Antenna. Very likely that's the case with you. Look at it. So what you are saying here is that when you move from initially you moved from your dynamic web project, right? Dynamic web project is an Eclipse specific project that is based off of WTP web tool project plugin. Okay. By default, whatever you put it in web content automatically goes to your web content goes to slash, but here source main web app is what you need to put it. So none of this works. So source main web app, what you need to do is you just cut this guy or copy this guy, go put it here. Come on. Let me copy this guy and then paste it here. Okay. Now source main web app, all of this, and now I'll delete this web It doesn't
Don't
matter
delete
whether you keep it or not.
Later on, I'll see.
Yeah, even this one can be safely deleted because it doesn't matter where you put it. Now, see here. Source main web app is where it goes to slash. Okay, slash means root of your project. Now go to deployment location. Got it? Your web.xml is there, your JSPs are there, your lib files are there, your classes are there. Now this is what, if your web.xml itself is not found, your server is not showing you in console that, hey, I'm loading this guy or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Your machine, your Tomcat has never loaded your web application because it didn't find web.xml. Web.xml is the key for your web application, right?
Mm-hmm. So in the revised, see, after I have Mavenized it, I get a source main web app, and that's the new location where I have to put, not web content.
You got it. I mean, you can put it anywhere. Source main web app is a convention. You put it in source main show one for that matter. If you know how to configure it, you just go to deployment assembly and then you just say that, hey, I'll put all of my web stuff in source main show one. Keep them in slash. Slash means your root of your project. That's all you were saying. Okay.
And Venkat, yeah.
Yes.
But this source, the source main web app is going to be populated when we deploy the application. I thought it was going to be deployed instead. I mean, populated. Is it, oh yeah. What I mean is the source main on this folder, the webinf is going to be populated when we deploy it in Tomcat.
Yeah, we are deploying it in Tomcat, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be automatically populated by Tomcat.
No, Tomcat is not going to do that.
No. One second.
You got it.
One second. Let me answer his question. Can you ask it slowly?
Yeah.
You are all set.
You know, yeah. Web. Usually we put under the web content folder, and then we put the web.inf. Inside that we put the web XML, right?
Okay.
And this is going to be when we deploy it in Tomcat, it will be populated to the source main folder.
Mm-hmm.
But you are doing now, you just paste it in the source main folder. So that was
let me answer it slowly, okay? If you do a file new, okay, a dynamic web project here, everybody, it's not for him, it's not for Sean, everybody. Dynamic web project and do test 1, 2, 3, okay? Whatever this one is. Okay, if you do this, where is my project name? Test 1, 2, 3, right? It's created a folder called web content. Whatever your development structure is, Tomcat does not care. What Tomcat cares about it is when you deploy at the end of the day, are you following the servlet spec or not? What is a servlet spec? We all know that. What we know is that, once I deploy this guy here, right? So what I care, you mean Tomcat, what Tomcat cares about it is, do I have this structure called web.inf? Inside the web.inf directly, do I have web.xml? Inside web.inf, do I have a classes? This is where I look for all the .class files. All the libraries are you putting into the lib is matters. But here you are putting into web content. Okay? Who is doing the magic? When I put it in web content, how is it coming here? That is actually handled by your Eclipse, something called deployment assembly. Now look at deployment assembly of just a small dynamic web project that I just created. See here, slash web content, everything in slash web content, please put it into slash. Slash means your root of your project. So your web.inf is there, so it put it there. where meta-nf it's there, it put it here. If I put it, if I create a folder called Venkat here, it will automatically copy it here. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So in
I got
Shovan's
it.
case, in web content, he's manipulating here, assuming that it's a magically do it here because he did copy paste from two different folders. He Mavenized it. He did not create it from archetype. When you create a Maven project here, okay, from one of the archetypes, like your web archetype, right? Okay. Um,
Okay, Venkat, I
One
have to
second.
also inform you one
I'm
more
not
thing.
done. I'm not done.
Wait.
So I created a Maven project test 321 here from archetype, right? So here, if you look at the deployment assembly of this guy, now it's different. So
Okay.
whatever I put it in source main web app, please put it here /. So who is doing this this magic in both the cases differently? Eclipse is doing it. I mean, our Eclipse plugins are doing it. So when you did create a Maven project, source main web app, everything under source main web app is being put into /. That is how your Maven project is configured. But your dynamic web project is configured as everything at /web content, please copy to /. That is why the two different things, two different structures. If you copy paste, that's what happens. I'm done talking. Sean, ask.
Yeah, actually, see, if I wanted to really test out two things at the same time. I had a dynamic web project called 12. From there, I first copied 15. It was not, I didn't create a dynamic web project. It was a copy of a dynamic web project. And on that, I Mavenized. So
Okay.
that's the bit of information that I wanted to share also.
I got it.
If that,
Did
that's
you
important.
understand what's happening? I don't need that information actually. Did you
Okay,
understand what happened here?
Yeah, that part I got. See, from the practical point of view, I got
Right.
that I have to really put it in /web, that new directory that it creates for me.
Got it.
I have to really put the web.xml over there from its usual location, that is web content.
Right. In both
Right.
of them, Eclipse is making your life easy by configuring the deployment assembly for you. That's all. At the core, at its very, 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 very core of Eclipse. Okay? How many times do you have to worry about it? That's a different story. Okay? And how much do you have to know all of this? Whatever I just did? The answer is, again, depends.
So bottom line is, if I have copied and Mavenized it, I have to really copy the web.xml from web content and put it there.
Yes, because Maven convention is that source main web app is your web app structure. That is Maven convention. Your web INF is going to sit in source main web app. Like how the convention is all of your Java classes are going to be source main Java. All of your test classes are going to be source test Java. Similarly, your web app structure or content is going to be in source main web app. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Everybody.
I got it. I think this would be my problem too. I will check it out.
Okay.
The deployment and all the servers. I'll check it out mine.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
Good night.
As for really relocating the packages from the regular places to source main Java, that part I don't have to worry about, because that after Mavenization that will really point to the right place.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks,
Venkat.
Venkat.
No problem, guys. No problem. Take care.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
I checked in. I checked in this one. So take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Take care. Yeah. Good night.